General Fenton, you made a great recruiting statement in your opening remarks, and I do appreciate that. Let me ask you, though, about the 14% cut in purchasing power, and this will be to both General Fenton and Secretary Mayer. Top-line budget has remained flat since 2019, a cut of approximately 14%. When adjusted for inflation. This comes on top of multiple rounds of cuts to Special Operations Force, approximately 700 beginning in 23, and another approximately 3,000 beginning in FY 25. Agree or disagree and comment with this statement. On the one hand, the rationale for reductions is that SOCOM grew significantly in the aftermath of 9/11 to account for counterterrorism requirements, and now counterterrorism is no longer a priority. On the other hand, the reality is that SOCOM is responsible for, number one, supporting integrated deterrence efforts against China, Russia, and Iran, number two, countering global terrorist groups, and number three, crisis response. So, General, you first. Comment on that and tell us which side you come down on.
Senator, I strongly come down aligned with the side that says we have, as SOCOM, three big mission buckets for the Department of Defense given to us by the Secretary of Defense. Integrated deterrence and all that entails. Happy to talk a bit more about that. Countering terrorism, because we absolutely know that ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Al-Shabaab have not gone away, to include their ideology, which is still running around unconstrained, and we're responsible in a big way with partners to get after that. And then crisis response, what we call a sacred obligation to be out the door very quickly as a SOCOM team to either recover diplomats of ours and partners and allies under duress or rescue hostages. And we have to do all three of those in a very big way in an environment where those requirements are going up on both spectrums.
Well, does that mean that that you're able to absorb a 14% cut in purchasing power and in your budget?
Senator, I would say probably like all colleagues that have been here before me, a 14% reduced buying power, whether based on inflation, supply chain, many other things, absolutely hurts. And it causes us to move, as you should expect us to do, toward making hard choices. And certainly when those choices are finished and we keep the SOCOM enterprise in equilibrium, being more purposeful and impactful with less. And I think at each and every day, that's what we remain focused on.
Mr. Secretary.
So, Ranking Member, this is pretty straightforward. I think if you look at even just the last year, we've had a number of crisis response requirements that we've had to meet. I think everybody knows that the counterterrorism mission continues to be a priority. It says it in our national defense strategy. You don't have to look much farther than the attack in Moscow in recent weeks to know that ISIS Khorasan is out there. And then we have a mission to help the department and the joint force on the pacing threat of China and the acute threat of Russia. I think fundamentally, when you look at the three things that we have to balance, missions, we're going to do the missions. We're going to carry out these missions, many of them presidentially directed. Readiness, we do everything we can to make sure our forces go out the door exquisitely prepared. That's what makes us so much better than our adversaries. And the third is modernization. That's what gets squeezed when there isn't as much to go around. We know that. We take a risk-informed approach to this, but that's the real impact, sir.
Okay, and perhaps you want to supplement that. General Hawk, there's Cybercom 2.0. Is that a specific program, or is this just another name for what you're supposed to do anyway, and that's top to bottom review of what you're doing? And also, you've been at this for a short time, but why didn't you ask for any unfunded requirements? I find it hard to believe that there's nothing else important that you need that isn't already being asked for.
Senator, I'll take the second question first. So in terms of how we approached our budget, this is the first year that we're going to execute enhanced budget control. The president submitted a budget for around $2.9 billion for U.S. Cyber Command. We were marked down to around 2.6 in that budget. What we really have heard uniformly from various elements of Congress, from the administration, from the department, they want us to demonstrate that we can successfully execute the dollars that we've received. We're confident that we will. We've got a strong plan and within the department, leveraging the Washington headquarters service to execute the dollars. But we believe the president's budget and what has been submitted for FY25 is what we need. And so a fully funded budget that would allow us to get, that would eliminate those marks for 25 would really help us close the gap in terms of the dollars we need to execute.
Take on the record, because I'm way over, are there any additional tools, resources, or hiring authorities you need to help develop the next iteration of the military cyber forces? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Wicker. Senator Manchin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And General Fenton, I was surprised